The Agri-weather outlook is sponsored by Excalia fungicide from Valent USA.
Could a warm front be on the horizon? Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
As the month of March moves on, we are seeing the really cold air retreat out of the northern plains and head back up into the Arctic where it belongs. That being said, much of the Dakotas, northern Minnesota, the Great Lakes region, looking at still colder than average temperatures. March is just really not moving towards spring at all here in the north. One good thing, it does look like any precipitation that we get will be lighter over the next couple of weeks. We've just come out of some very heavy precipitation events. These are not likely to be quite so heavy. The main heavy snow in the western mountains will eventually likely let up over the next couple of weeks, but not before more heavy mountain snows and lower elevation rains continue in the Pacific Northwest down into California. Let's look at the jet stream pattern. Primary jet right now is the southern one. There is a bit of an Arctic jet that I'm showing because it does reveal this low pressure system over the northern plains over the weekend. That rather quickly moves on to the east, to replace by a little bit of ridging as we get into the middle of the week. That's going to bring slightly milder temperatures to the Dakotas and parts of Minnesota. The frigid area, you'll notice, staying up north. Frigid meaning like sub-zero weather. The dark blue, that's where highs are like near or below freezing. So we will likely get at least a little bit of a midweek break, but then the northern plains will head back to mostly freezing or near freezing weather. While this is all going on, the southern states look like they will stay fairly warm, with even the possibility of some occasional strong thunderstorms from time to time. And we are setting up for more heavy precipitation in the western states. By the time we get to this coming weekend, it looks like we'll be seeing a lot of that headed toward the northern part of California and on up into the Pacific Northwest. As we move into the second week of the period here, pattern's still looking pretty cold, though not really frigid at all, but generally mostly below freezing from North Dakota through the Great Lakes region, while the good warm weather will continue down in through the southern states, and it'll likely stay fairly cold through the month of March. Not going to see a great deal of snow melting in North Dakota and northern Minnesota. As far as adding new precipitation for this week, there will be, of course, the snow moving out of the Dakotas on Sunday. Will move on across the Great Lakes, turning into moving eventually out to sea. Later in the week, there'll be a weather system in warmer air a little further south with some thunder showers and a little bit of rain snow on the northern side. And they notice the precipitation out west, mostly the northern part of California up into the Pacific Northwest. The second week, now this is getting into the beginning of the second half of March. Still looks wet in the mountains out west. Looks like the snows will mostly be the St. Lawrence Seaway down through the East Coast, where there will be some thunder showers and some warmer air, a little rain coming up into Iowa. But for most of the northern plains area, precipitation the next 2 weeks will be a bit lighter.